and welcome back to another video. We have something special.
Casual night featuring us.
Us, as always.
Us featuring... Because it's always featuring us when we commentate, but us playing today.
Yes.
I'll be on the left side of the screen, and
I'll be on the right side, and yeah, I think it will be quite an interesting match, to say the least.
At least for one of the people playing.
Yes.
So we're just to say really quickly, we're doing the Boreal format, which is basically everything is unrestricted and allowed, right? Everything is just
Boreal and 4 strip mines.
Yeah, 4 strip mines. Though I think, are you playing 4 strips in your deck though?
No, I'm not.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So maybe you were playing
Atlantic, yes.
But it's okay, it's casual. And it doesn't matter anyways, because I'm actually not even playing strip mine, as you guys can see, right? There's no strip mines here.
Yeah.
But I'm playing my favorite deck. It's the Stasis, essentially, with Twiddle and Timecodes. I used to play a much more all-in Stasis version with a lot more power sinks and other things. I don't even recall. I was also only playing one Timecodes.
I think you had a counterspell as well, 1 or 2 counterspells back in the day.
Yeah, I thought I still had. No, I guess I don't. Yeah, so basically what I wanted to do on this iteration is because I've been playing a lot of the Danny Friedman Twiddle Vault, and that deck is out of this world. Out of this world. The consistency is incredible. The combo is just you're just gonna win. It's really, really strong. You guys have heard me talk about it a million times. But the point is that I love Stasis so much that I actually wanted to come back to the Stasis deck. So what I did this time was I just started with the Twiddle Vault shell, Danny Friedman's shell, and I just took out 8 cards to slide in the boomerangs and the Stasis.
Yeah.
So it's really a Stasis Twiddle Vault deck. But the idea being was let's bring Stasis back. So
I mean, you've been working on this deck probably since I've known you. Close to 6 years, 5 years.
Yeah, from the beginning of our old school format in Montreal, I've been playing with Stasis. So
yeah, I mean, Stasis is such a great card, and I think this is the first time it's going to be featured on the channel.
That's true. Yeah, I think that's true. Yeah.
And you put it to work. I can tell you that.
Yeah. Well, we'll see shortly. But it's just to say really quickly is I kept the second Time Vault because I didn't need to cut it. The Twiddle Vault deck plays 3 Sylvan Library, but I went down to 2. I don't think it's necessary in the Stasis version. And I'm trying 2 mana shorts instead of Power Sync because the idea was I don't want to have to catch you on a spell cast to make you tap out. I just want to hit your lands and then go on my turn, have the total control of when I get the Stasis use. So mana short's argument there was, I'm just gonna let you do your thing, and whether or not you give me something to counter, I'll still find a way to tap your lands, kind of.
Yeah.
So.
And I mean, this deck is basically inspired by Will Milgram, with a couple of changes, a few cards, not too many.
Which ones?
In the sideboard, I don't know by heart, but I think it's more the sideboard pieces.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I think the deck itself, pretty much is true to his deck list.
Yeah.
So I mean, this has been featured before, I believe. Maybe
I think
on this channel.
Well, I don't know.
No, I played a different version of it.
Okay, so.
I mean, this deck just performs extremely well.
Yeah,
I mean,
the copy artifacts, right?
Yeah, copy artifacts, Suchis, Ices. I mean, everyone knows this.
And it's kind of crazy just to say really fast, as a person who experiences this deck often, since we always play, is the Armageddon and the Abysses, even though you kind of know they're there after repetitive playing, still always kind of catch you by surprise. It just comes out of nowhere. Especially the Armageddon. It's you think you're doing all good, and then all of a sudden you just play the Armageddon, and if you're not ready for it, or if you don't have a counter spell or something, it's just...
Yeah, and I think even the... not playing maybe against you so much, but other people, the city in the bottom of the main, throws a lot of people off because they just don't expect it, especially with the one city of brass in the main board, so they feel much more inclined, at ease to drop their, whatever, if it's Jazam, Library,
even city.
Even city, so sometimes they play, Library turn 1, turn 2, Serendib, and you just slam that down, they just completely get wrecked 100%. I mean, this deck performs really, really well. You tend to lock your opponents up pretty well with the relics and the ices and the copies. And
do you have any explanation or want to say why Brain Geyser is in the sideboard? Is there any?
Like I said, I think that's from Will's I think he has it in the sideboard. I've been kind of tinkering with the sideboard, so it's not anything official.
I mean, my estimation is that you don't need it to win.
Yeah, even the library inside, I think.
Yeah, well, Library Inside I agree with. I think that's a kind of card where, like, this is the type of deck where playing Library and Go is probably the weakest thing you can do when your options are Workshop, Mox, Icy Manipulator, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, like, I'm definitely the kind of, I'm 100% on board with Library at the side. Bring it in when you're on play.
Yeah.
Okay, also just to say really fast, I don't have a side. My picture didn't have a sideboard. I always kind of take deck pictures without it since I change my sideboards based on the events that I go to.
Yeah.
So I don't like to sleeve the sideboards, but ultimately speaking, there's always going to be Hercules recalls. There's always going to be energy fluxes or stuff like that. So like, and I'm pretty sure all I bring in the second game is just Hercules recalls. So as much as you guys don't see the sideboard, you should tweak your sideboards for your metas and understand that I will probably bring in just Hercules recalls for this matchup. But
Yeah, I mean, certain deck pictures, you know, if you're playing Boreal, then you're playing Atlantic, your sideboards can change quite often. So I'm trying to be pretty aggressive on the... But as you can see, I'm playing Icy pretty early.
So this is basically like what I really hate to see when I play against you is the is the turn one Icy Manipulator, especially when you have the extra Mox to activate it. So like you guys can kind of see my hand here. I start thinking right away about what's the best thing to feed that Icy, and I think I even do make a misplay in my second turn. Actually, this first turn, because I'm going to play the Library and I activate it, and I play 2 Mox in, which means that if you choose to tap my Library, I won't have 7 cards in my upkeep to activate it again. Yeah, so I missed a draw on it, which is definitely a mistake. So I should have just stopped right here, but I played one more. In my head, I was thinking like, maybe you'll tap, I mean, obviously you'll tap the Library, so this was clearly just a mistake, but in my head, I was like, maybe he taps the colored source, then I'll draw for turn, go back to 7, activate Library, go to 8, but of course, we're going to see shortly that that's not what ends up happening.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't feel the need to tap anything at the end step. Knowing kind of like your deck a little bit, I said, okay, well...
Yeah, I mean, you're only going to get hit by Power Sink. I mean, look, at the end of the day, you probably should tap something.
Yeah.
If it's free, just do it. There's no reason to leave the blue, like Ancestral, all these kinds of things. There's no reason to leave it, but at this point in the game, if this is the time where you're not going to tap something, let it be that time. Okay, yeah, okay, so yeah, when you follow up the Icy with the Chaos Orb, I was just like, god damn it, like, god damn it, like... Oh, like now what, right? So I think actually you too, you probably should. I don't know, and you had to copy also.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
It was such an aggressive start. It's like I wonder if maybe because you only have 1 mana floating now, so you can only tap or activate the. Interesting. And I think you don't activate the orbs, right? You're copying the orb, or you're copying the Icy?
The orb.
Okay. Yeah. So I think this is actually me asking you: are you just gonna blow up my library? And you chose not to because you probably identified that I only had 6 cards in hand. So instead of wasting the copy, you could keep me off of the draw with the Icy. But yeah,
I believe I tapped your library upkeep.
Yes, you did, which is what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
Because I played the Mox Emerald and you tapped on upkeep, I lost my chance to draw again. But yeah, so here I was basically the only thing I could have in my hopes was a Boomerang, so that when you activate the Chaos Orb, see now. When I played that island, I actually remember specifically, I was like, I'm going to bounce my library. I'm going to save the library and let the Chaos Orb die. I don't believe that's what ends up happening. I don't remember what my thought process was that made me change my mind. But like at this moment, I'm boomeranging my library. And then I think, look what happens. I'm not mistaken. Because
I don't recall what I targeted. Probably your library at this point.
Oh, you know what I was thinking? I was like, okay, you're so far ahead with mana and Threat Now and Orbs and Icy. I was like, maybe I don't boomerang the library, which sets me back a land. Like, sure, you lose 1 orb, but sets me back a land. But if I can bounce your Chaos Orb, perhaps, it's a wasted activation, which is then going to force you to replay it and then activate it. And then you might end up tapped out. And if I should draw a Stasis, then I can at least gain some time, because my deck just cares about gaining a few turns. Every time I boomerang or I Stasis or you don't put me at a threatening life total, is like 1 more reassuring turn that I can set up my thing. Because you've seen it. Once I go, right? So So I just want to time walk you in any way that I possibly can. And I think I deemed that boomeranging my own library actually time walks myself. And sure enough, here, because you used the copy.
Yeah.
You had to tap mana you had to tap other lands instead of your Workshop. which made it even harder. Which now, and then look exactly what's happening is you are about to tap out to activate the orb again. So now it's like no problem. And if I could just stasis you here, I'm in a pretty good position.
Yeah, I was kind of anticipating the stasis. I said at some point he's going to play it. So I said, right now I need to limit your card draw, get him away from, make him draw one at a time just like me, and eventually I'll be able to cast something in hopes that, okay, plays a stasis, I can maybe tap his last blue source with the icy.
And I actually think, if I recall, I think we were even talking here. I think at one point here you actually asked me, like, why did you boomerang the copy artifact? And I started explaining, like, I wanted to put you in this position so I could rip a stasis. Because I felt like maybe that was like the only thing to do because I had deemed about boomeranging my library to be actually not a good idea. Set myself back the land. The card draw is nice, but like the thing about library is it's only as good as the pilot using it, and that's not to like pat myself on the back. It's more like you don't have to activate library every single turn just because you can. Like you don't. You have to stop like activating it when it's time to stop activating it. You have to identify that moment and like stop. So.
Yeah, I've seen. I mean, we had this discussion in another video at some point where I think Francois was being a bit too greedy with it, and because he was just drawing with it more than playing cards.
Yeah, like
he suffered because of that.
He went one turn too deep on the card draw and found that he was actually 1 mana short from like preventing his loss essentially.
Yeah, so there's always that weird balance with the Library of Alexandria.
Yeah.
When to play it. How much to use it, when's the right time to take it out in the sideboard.
Yeah. Things get even trickier when you're playing with 4 strip mines, because like sometimes you go turn 1, I'm on the draw, they play a whatever, I can play my library, or even if you're on the play, you're like, I'll play my library, and then they strip it, so you want to maybe feed them like a colored mana source, that they strip that, and then you play your library, so it gets like...
But most 4 strip mine formats, I don't even consider Library of Alexandria as like, I tend to stick to like 1 or 2 colors.
Okay, this is me power sinking a time vault. Now time walk. Yeah. Now you already tapped out, so I think I just didn't want to give you a chance to untap. Again, I don't think I have stasis in my hand, but it was more just like you time walking with all of these resources is a scary concept. So I just wasn't interested. It might have been a bit too aggressive because I don't think you really did anything this turn. But it also made you so that you couldn't like do anything else after. So I didn't want you to like time walk and then maybe activate the orb or something, and then and then get one more turn with. So I just wanted to put an end to you take. Oh, also, just come on, I'm taking the turns here, not.
Easy.
I'm taking the turns.
Easy. In case people are wondering why I'm at 19, I had mana burn when I casted the Chaos Orb with the workshop. Yeah.
Okay.
So people are like, why is he at 19? You're at 18, I believe, for the same reason, for mana burn.
You didn't attack me with the...
I possibly attacked you, yeah.
No, we were talking about library. I don't know, but it's okay. Yeah, so but see, like the thing is like you had so from my standpoint, okay, actually, so much to talk about. From my standpoint about this game right now, even though you have all these resources, I'm still at 18. I'm feeling very good because even if you take like 2 more turns, they put me to 14, I can still take 8 damage off of a Sylvan library. So like I'm in like a very positive state that we're this far into the game, and like I'm still at a healthy life total.
Yeah, I had a bit of a slow start when.
Well, you exploded on the beginning, but then after it kind of tapered off, I think perhaps boomeranging the copy artifact worked in my favor, and then countering your time walk might have worked in my favor. So here's the thing: is I actually fed you that time walk. I remember specifically. I have a transmute artifact in my hand. I'm like, I'm going to feed him because I need to like go off, and I can't let you have a Chaos Orb and play when I'm trying to go off. So it's like I'm gonna give you the time vault, which is gonna hopefully encourage the Chaos Orb. Because then on my next turn, I'm going to transmit artifact for another one.
Yeah.
And I don't remember if I...
Well, I mean, it worked. I mean, I said, worst case, like, I need to get rid of this, because even if you had, like, 1 twiddle, that's like a time walk, and, like...
Yeah. But
so it was a well-played, move on your part. They're like, okay, I'm going to feed him this, because I already have the transmute set up, so... But that's the gamble I have to take from my side, because
if
otherwise,
because
you just have the twiddle,
Well, those 2 cards could be Howling Mine Twiddle, right? Sylvan Library Twiddle, and then you're just like, then forget about it, it's over. So here you can see I brought a Chaos Orb to the top of my deck, and if you remember us talking about this, I was always gonna go for the Time Vault, and then I thought about maybe I should just play a more defensive game because like I am a Stasis version now, and that Icy could still be problematic. So I was like, maybe I just get the Chaos Orb, and then I just concluded, no. I'm here to take turns. I'm here to take turns.
You came here to party, boy.
I came here to untap and tap Time Vaults. I'm not Chaos Orbing nothing. So yeah, if I recall correctly with this game, which we're going to see shortly, the only thing that I would actually criticize you on is not tapping my Time Vault when I untap it without a Twiddle. But we'll get there soon. I don't want to like get jumped too far ahead. But ultimately speaking here, like now we're back to the last turn. So
jeez, like you remembered that move, and we've been like we played this last week. This game?
1 or 2 weeks
ago.
Yeah,
and you've been thinking about it ever since. You probably watched.
Well, I
just been daydreaming about Anthony made this.
Yeah. So here's where Casual Night comes into play. I dropped that City of Brass, and then I was like, oh shit, you can just tap it with the Icy. So I went, oh no, I was just merely showing you the card in my hand.
Yeah.
I was just merely showing you the card. But it's okay because like at the end of the day,
well, I mean, like I said, casual nights, whatever, fine. But in a tournament setting, I would have said no.
Well, in a tournament setting, I would hope that I would be a bit more focused and I would not even play the card in the first place. Like, there's no reason to play that City of Brass. Like, I can just hold it for the turn where I go off or something.
And I think that's going to be a crucial thing, as we'll see later in the video.
Oh, like in terms of life totals, maybe?
Probably. We'll see.
Interesting. Yeah, because like now there's going to be a bit of a lull, if I remember. Like maybe like we just kind of draw go, you attack me a bit. So like that would have been 2 or 3 or 4 turns of extra 1 damage. So it definitely is a big deal. Like you really have to. So here you attacked me you did nothing and attacked me for 2. And I think one big mistake or under like a lack of sight that a lot of people who play with Time Vault or Stasis or even Twiddle Vault don't do is untap Time Vault. If you can find a turn where the opponent doesn't do much, just untap the Time Vault. It gets tricky in the face of an Icy because now you can just force me to when I untapped it, you should have from my side of the table, you should have tapped it instantly and forced me to take the turn on your terms. When you don't, now I've got the untapped Time Vault. Your last turn was irrelevant, like it just so happens. And like so even if you play a land here or whatever you do, it's like I don't really care about too much because now I've got the untapped Time Vault, so I'll take the turn on my terms, which means if I draw a Howling Mine, I'm ready to go whenever my deck gives me the card that I need. Whereas if you tap my Time Vault, I'm going to have to continuously give you turns or find Twiddle and Howling Mine. So instead of just looking for 1 card, Howling Mine, I now have to look for 2 cards. So I would say this is pretty much the only mistake, really the glaring mistake that you made was just not forcing me to tap my Time Vault.
Because I think you even only have like 2 cards in your hand.
That's it. So because the thing is that I'm right now, my game plan is I'm being attacked for 2. I have an untapped Time Vault, which my opponent is not respecting. All I need to do is draw Boomerang. If I can just draw Boomerang and a Howling Mine after, I'm in a really good place. And I think one of those 2 cards is either the Howling Mine or the Sylvan Library. And I'm just like, I just need to Boomerang one of the Icies and force you to use it when I Boomerang. Because then when I take that turn, I already have my hand ready to go.
Yeah, so your hand is set up to now go off.
Exactly, yeah. So like an untapped Time Vault is extremely threatening when you are the Time Vault deck. So on the one hand, if you want to be a Twiddle Vault player, you really need to look for and pay attention to the turns where you just skip your turn to untap it. And if you're playing against a Time Vault deck, you really cannot allow them to be in charge of when they take their turns. You really have to stop them from being in charge of that.
Yeah, as a shops like player playing against this deck, it's always that weird first hand draw. You're like, is it quick enough? Can I get a lock in? I know what's going to happen. You're anticipating it, And this was just too much of a slow start. I mean, I only had the factory. I had like no other threats.
Well, again, like, I just want to say you had a really aggressive start. It's just the following turns tapered off. You spiked on the first turn and then you tapered for the next 3, which was like dangerous versus a combo deck. So.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay, now you play this Triskelion, and it's like I think I'm at 8 life or something, and I'm like, okay, it's essentially now or never kind of. And I believe I did get lucky enough that in my hand I now have all the pieces that I need. I'm pretty sure I won't draw a card. I'm pretty sure I'm going to Boomerang now.
So I mean, I attacked you for
for 2 more, put me to 6.
Put you to 6.
So I would easily be at 2, 3, or 4 life with that city of brass in play.
Yeah, it would have been dead because I would have just
ping with trike. Yeah,
ping you with trike, and then.
So you see here, everything is working out exactly as I wanted.
So it's like it's weird because, on one hand, yes, I made the mistake of not tapping your time vault, but on the other hand, if I had been, let's say, aggressive enough on the rules, you would have lost.
I'm dead. Yeah, I'm dead.
You know, so it's like that weird.
Yeah. Well, the only thing that I can go off of is, in a perfect world, that city was never being played anyways. But I did drop her on the table. But it's okay. Where we are. And then the thing is so I literally in my head I was like, I win this game if I can just draw Boomerang, Howling Mine. And I think I missed both of those cards for 2 turns. And then I drew Howling Mine, and I was like, if I can only just get Boomerang, and then Boomerang came. And as you saw, I boomeranged your Icy. You tapped my Howling Mine. I just took my turn, and then I had the Howling Mine. And then you tap my Howling Mine, so on my extra turn, I don't get the draw, but I do believe I actually find a Twiddle or a Demonic Tutor, and then,
Yeah.
And then you ask me at least 4 or 5 times, can I just concede? And I say, okay, oh yeah, I found a Time Walk, so I get an extra turn, draw 2 cards. I only have 1 card in my hand, so this isn't even just game over. It's like I really have to find something with just 2 cards. And sometimes the deck gives. Now, you recall when I was playing my original Stasis versions, where I built it as a Stasis deck, I would always make the same complaint. I'm just drawing counter spells. I'm just drawing, like, I have 3 Howling Mines that I'm just not drawing anything.
Drawing like a lot of dead cards.
That's it. So that's why on this approach, I wanted to take the Twiddle Vault deck and just add in 8 Stasis cards, so that I still have the massive consistency of the Twiddle Vault deck, so I can draw gas more often.
Well, I think the mana short too. Because you did a mana short, I believe.
I think that comes later.
Okay.
But yeah, now I'm just going.
But yeah, the mana short, when you. Maybe it wasn't these games, but I remember at one point you played it, and it just like. Yeah, it's like a time walk for you. Because you're just like, okay, well, unless I have mana rocks, I can't really do much.
Yeah. So here I basically like. The thing is that if I was playing the Twiddle Vault deck, like no Stasis, I would be a lot more lenient about just like, hey, you should just concede. Like, I'm just gonna win here. Like with 4 recalls, 3 times, like I'm just gonna win. But with the Stasis version, I do have less recalls, and I can run into issues such as drawing Stasis instead of drawing cards that keep the thing going. So unfortunately for the opponent, you do have to kind of sit through it, because like I might whiff, and I like, it's possible. Whiffing is possible, but I try to do my best when I'm playing this deck, since I know already people have like certain dispositions towards the card Stasis, and also it's not exactly fun to watch your opponent just play with themselves for 10 minutes. So I think you can kind of see I'm trying to go as fast as possible. And
yeah, I mean, at this point, like, because the fact that you have Twiddles, you have recalls, etc. So I'm like, at this point, I was like, okay, he's gonna go off and he's gonna get his things. He's gonna win because he's just gonna be able to get his recalls, his Twiddles back, and just take infinite turns.
Yeah.
At this point, we're just trying to just show like the viewers that the proper way. You're like, okay, I need to do this. Like, what can happen, good or bad?
Yeah.
So to completion of, okay, now I have like, I have lethal. I have enough mana. This is how I did it.
Yeah.
And
I think anybody playing against a combo deck, the first or second time, should allow themselves to see the whole thing play out.
Yeah.
Even if you just want to concede because it's not fun or whatever, like, you should still see the whole thing play out so that you can at least see how it works, get a feel for it, maybe appreciate it, and then after in the future you can identify, okay, like from this point, let's just concede. But you should always let it play out the first time. So that's why we decided just like, don't concede, let me just keep going.
Yeah.
Because like I might whiff. Like at the end of the day, as much as it looks like you're just buried in card advantage, like you can still draw 4 lands in a row. And if you draw 4 lands in a row with no Twiddle, like I gotta pass the turn. And I'm at 5 life and you got a Triskelion, like it's like you have lethal on board. So until I actually show you that you are dead, not just show you that your life is misery right now, you should just wait, because like,
misery is an understatement, by the way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, because I think like a lot of YouTube channels, when you see like 2 players play against each other, one of them concedes, so it says, okay, you have it, whatever.
Yeah.
And there's very few matches I've seen online where it's like the player goes all the way to the end and says, okay, here's the lethal on board, here's the proof. And you did like pretty good on like, okay, draw, this is this, go, go, go. So, like, because I mean, the way that you played it, had it been like another player, could have been like an extra 5 minutes.
5 minutes. Yeah, well, I try.
Because you're sitting there counting, and like you said, I think it's good that people who never played a combo deck and want to experience it and how it works, I think you actually need to have that grind and have to do mathematically. And unfortunately for the opponent, sometimes we'll just have to, sit there and
endure.
Bathroom breaks or
But that is the nice thing about your board state is that like I'm now at 5 life. Like, you can't just kill me if I whiff. So like it's a bit even more rough because that chance of winning is always there, but it diminishes with every like card I draw, but it never goes away. So you have to like hold on to that hope until, of course.
I think you played what Time Twister again, eh?
Yeah, I played time because this is what I'm talking about, right? Like me playing Time Twister means I ran out. I ran out of cards. Like way to continue. So like I actually whiffed, except for Time Twister, which you could say sure it's not a whiff because you're drawing 7 cards, but like I just put my whole graveyard, which is full of non-continuing combo pieces that I could draw into right now. So like, yeah, I'm going to draw 7, but it's just a random 7 where, like, if I've already whiffed after drawing 13 cards, who's to say that these random 7 with extra junk that I put back in the deck won't give me, nothing. Now, of course,
like my thinking at this point is like, okay, if he happens to get bad luck, my only out is that you pass the turn, you're at, let's say, 2 or 3 cards left in your deck, and you have to draw all those cards to then get the win condition, so you deck yourself. So I'm like, I could still win technically
because the Howling Mine is not a May, right? So if I go too deep, if I'm not paying, if you're not, that's another thing is like when you're in this state of like you got to go in, your Fireball might be in the last few cards. Like you have to be aware of how many cards are in your deck, and like your Howling Mines will just kill you, especially if you're librarying without thinking about it. Like one extra life, like the same thing with the argument. You could tap your library thinking I got all these cards on all these turns, and then all of a sudden you go to your last turn and there's 3 cards in your deck and you got 4 Howling Mines, and then you just lose because so you really have to be conscious of your deck, of the library, of the Howling Mines, it's crazy. There's so much going on, which is why like I try to take as much pride as possible without being arrogant about my ability to go fast with the deck.
Well, I mean, like I said earlier in the video, I mean, you've been tinkering with like variations of Twiddle, Stasis, Twiddle Vault.
Yeah, it's probably
and everything in between. So it's not like this is your first rodeo. You've done this for many, many years. And
but see, I want to point out 2 turns or like last turn, I played 1 Twiddle and like I literally drew my 7, played a Twiddle, and then went to the next turn. Which means with that Time Twister, I only found 1 card. Now, of course, I drew 4 more the next turn, and then I found more stuff like Time Vault, Time Walk, and another Twiddle. But it's just to say that draw 7 gave me 1 out of 6 cards that was relevant.
Yeah.
So your opponent, like, as the person playing against Stasis or Time Vault, I beg you, don't concede. If you have the lethal on board,
don't listen to him. Don't do it, folks. Don't.
Yeah, I think I'm also doing a pretty decent job of like pointing to the things that I'm doing.
Yeah.
So that it's like
you must pat yourself on the back quite often. Huh?
Well, I mean, like, how many times have people complained about their Stasis opponent because it's so slow, the game's never end, you don't do this, so it's like, I feel like it's like a public service you have to do if you're gonna play this deck. It's like, try to just at least try to go fast.
Or
don't play the deck.
Or if I'm the person playing a Twiddle Vault deck, you play your cards, thinking, scratching your head. Okay. Take out your calculator or the pen and
make the opponent concede.
Just to make the opponent concede.
Out of frustration and anger.
Time! 50 minutes already? Jeez. Would you look at that?
Yeah, so I'm drawing like 6 cards a turn here. It's kind of crazy. See, like now at this point, I mean, but that's the thing, it's like, now here we are. Here we are in the exact scenario we were just talking about. I just picked up my deck to demonstrate. I'm at 5 cards. I'm at 5 cards. And I've got 4 Howling Mines in play, which means I have it's literally the perfect amount of cards in the deck to not lose, and I have not found the Fireball yet. Because obviously I wouldn't be taking this much time, I would just show you I got the Fireball, I have the mana for it.
Yeah.
And so I think you just saw my hands kind of like open up, being like, dude, like after all that, I don't even have the Fireball. So like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, and honestly, this doesn't demonstrate the deck not being good, this is just how variance works, and also what happens when you dilute the extremely consistent Twiddle Vault by putting in the Stasis. But it's okay because I love Stasis and Time Vault anyways together, and it's like it's okay.
But the Twiddle Vault deck, the Danny Freeman, does it have 2 fireballs?
It has one, but it has more recalls. So like the thing with
Okay, so that's the consistency.
Yeah, if I was playing Twiddle Vault a la Danny Friedman, you would have been dead probably 4 turns ago. So that's like it is definitely the better Twiddle Vault deck, but this is still a shit ton of fun, and I just love the card Stasis, so I don't mind putting myself through this extra bit of stress. Okay, so now I'm like, I don't have the fireball for you, but I have to still like not die. So luckily I didn't discard poorly when I was going through my turns and having extra cards in my hand. So I had boomerangs, and I had mana shorts, and I had Stasis. So I was like, I can't kill you this turn. I've got 5 cards in my deck, which is exactly what I'll draw. The fireball is there. I have to just not die. What do? I'm gonna bounce your Trike, which you then shoot me with.
Yeah.
But I have to not let you play that Triskelion. And so I kept the Stasis in my hand because I was like, you are tapped out. Your workshops are both tapped. You've got 1 mana source, Stasis, which is essentially a pseudo Time Walk because you don't do anything.
How funny would it be though that if that 1 blue mana source I had Ancestral in my hand?
Oh yeah. Okay. So yes, that's true. I was actually, you're actually totally right. You could have like, I'm like, yeah, look at me with my deck, perfect amount, Howling Minds. I'll draw 5. Excellent. And you just Ancestral me. Ah, boy, that would feel so bad. Now, of course, unfortunately for you, I do have Power Sink in my hand.
Yeah.
So like, and I think here too, I stopped you on your upkeep. I think you were a bit anxious or eager because you had something to do that you could have actually messed me up with. So I was like, whoa, hold on. Because I had like Mana Short, Power Sink, Boomerang, Stasis. Like my hand was like, all the control cards came to me.
Yeah, because I think I was able, if I don't remember what I had in my hand, but I think I was still able to catch you.
Yeah, so I remember you saying if you didn't have the Mana Short, but again, of course, like just bad luck for you, good luck for me. If I didn't have the Mana Short, I do have a Power Sink in my hand.
Yeah.
So like it all kind of worked out here. But yeah, you like that. But this is what I'm saying is like, don't concede, because even in this state of absolute like you're just so defeated mentally.
Yeah.
You could have, like, you can still win. So like yeah, like resolve, have a strong resolve and let it be. Because yeah, now I believe if with the Mana Short you're just kind of boned here, and well, you don't really have a choice. I like how you're holding on to that last bit of hope, though, tapping your lands and playing stuff. Oh, but it's interesting to note that if one of those workshops was untapped, you did have another workshop to play the Triskelion and win. So like, so many chances to win. Now, like again, I don't want to use any of that as a means to be like the Twiddle Vault deck is not. Here's me showing the Power Sink. But yeah, I don't want to be like this Twiddle Vault is too iffy because look at how much I had to do. It's more like I diluted that deck by putting Stasis in. So if you just don't want to have to worry about the 4 extra things that I put myself through, just play Danny Friedman's Twiddle Vault and you'll win 4 turns earlier. But it's okay. Yeah. It's okay. It's not about winning.
Or play another deck if you don't want to lose friends.
Yeah, if you don't want to.
If you don't want to lose friends,
if you don't want to be a loser and lose friends and lose in life and lose and lose.
Play the deck.
Yeah.
And make even more enemies. Yeah. I think it's probably like the most hated.
The deck?
The deck?
Well, I think it's the problem with the deck. I agree with you, but I think the problem is like when you bring the deck, you're essentially telling the world, I just want to win. Like I'm here to win, and I want to make it as I want my odds of winning to be as high as possible. And so like people, you give the message out before you even say hello. You tell people I'm here.
I remember at Tundra Wolves Challenge 3, I had like a variation of like Stasis, Time Vault. Wasn't, I had Twiddles. It was like a Twiddle Vault Stasis. Mm-hmm. And I remember that year I had met Dave Bard, I think his name. Yeah, Dave Bard. He had came and, spoke to him. He's like, oh, nice to meet you, and so on. And he's like, all like super ecstatic. Hey, what's going on? How are you? I was like, yeah. He's like, what are you playing? I'm like, Twiddle Vault with Stasis. He's like, oh, you get what you deserve. Yeah. He's like, it's complete.
It's a reasonable response.
He was like, you could tell right away. He was like super. I wouldn't say upset, but he's like, oh, you know what? I hope you get coal in your stocking kind of attitude.
Here, I want to just say really quickly, because you mentioned City in a Brass during
Sitting in a Bottle
during the deck text, and how like it wouldn't necessarily be good versus me. But at the end of the day, I am playing the cities and library, and like I remember clenching my butthole really hard in this match because I was like, because I think I have one more City of Brass in my hand. Like I just drew all the Arabian Nights cards. I only have 4. I drew them all. So I was like, geez, if you play and then you tap 2, I was like, we're going to game 3. But then you untapped, and I was like, okay, that can't. You would be so much more confident if that was a city in a bottle. So it's not. But yeah,
I remember I had really I had a slow start in this game too, and I just was like, I should have mulliganed looking back.
Yeah, but see, I wanna. Oh, interesting. Yeah, because especially if you had an explosive start the first game, but I still managed to like sneak that thing. Yeah, you should probably go for. As aggressive as possible a hand. You can probably afford to go to 5, maybe. 5.
I've gone to 5 and still was able to top deck pretty well.
Yeah. See,
but you know, like casual nights, just we're just like playing easy.
Yeah.
Tournament setting.
Everything changes. Yeah,
everything changes.
The mentality is completely different.
See, this is like a good thing. That's why you're like, okay, I wouldn't normally do this. Let me do it. Let me see what happens.
Yeah.
Because this is the setting where I want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
This is where I want to make my mistakes. This is where I want to see the outcome of my decision.
Yeah.
Not in the tournament setting where you're like, I'm 1-3
because of this,
this, and that.
See, look, another.
Yeah.
See, I want to just point out one thing before anybody decides to get all funny about it. Yes, I had library in both of these games, but pay attention. I didn't have access to it after the first turn in game 1. And I actively chose to use it as mana on my second turn in this game instead of drawing again to play that Time Vault. So like I didn't even, abuse the library because I saw the outlet for the other plays, and like it was much more important to get that Time Vault into play. And the Howling Mine was just a turn away. So like I don't need to draw one more card if it means I get to have my Time Vault ready for my Howling Mine. So really.
I mean, you drew pretty well. I mean, you drew pretty well too with.
I played pretty well.
No, you drew pretty well. You got lucky. So right there, you're already like going off. So
this game I had. I remember like this game I had the nuttiest draw, and I honestly credit maybe like 5th best card in my hand to library, 4th best card in my hand to library.
Yeah. So I mean, like even though you're taking damage from the cities, you're like I am.
Oh yeah. Well, you didn't do anything. You copied your mana sources, and I had Time Vault and held in mine right away. So I just went. This game I had it all.
Yeah.
I just had it all, and like again, like you could have gotten me so hard with just a city.
And I remember too, because it won't be played. But I remember I had Armageddon in my hand. And then the next turn I was playing to drop the Armageddon.
Drop the Armageddon. So really,
that's why I was just like, okay, let him do his land drops. I'll put the Armageddon.
But unfortunately for you, I had
the magic gods were like, not today, boy. Easy there, buddy.
Had the unanswered Arabian Nights. That's the classic Anthony mental concession, putting the cards on the table.
No, I do that often. No, I do that often because I'm
watching. You're watching the game, yeah.
Because the thing is, I forget who was talking about it. I think it was Ryan Wiseman.
Yeah.
He's like when opponents are shuffling through their cards, he'll notice like. When he plays a certain card, sometimes they'll they'll like rearrange their cards.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to get like more into the habit. I know my cards. I put it on the table.
Right.
I'm watching you.
Yeah.
And I don't really apply casually, but like tournament setting, I'll take the cards, look at it,
put them down.
Well,
you know what's in your hand.
I know what's in my hand.
Staring at it.
If I see something where I could respond to, I'll say, okay, wait. Pick up the cards, go through it, and play the card.
Well, I mean, there's so many involuntary tells that people give to. Now, obviously, we're playing behind computer screens here, so you can't see my face. But like in person, people draw cards and their eyes open. They shift to the graveyard, and so like there's a lot of tells you can notice if you just don't stare at your hand, But I want to say I discarded to a recall a turn or two ago, Wheel of Fortune, because I was already so far ahead with my own amount of cards that I didn't see any purpose in giving you, like, even though it draws me 7 to keep going.
Yeah,
I didn't see any purpose to it. I think also like I probably had enough time walks, also I think I even had 3 turns off the Time Vault. So like I was gonna draw 7 cards without giving you 7 fresh ones.
Yeah, and you had like regrowth, so you're like, okay, regrowth. Probably
and then I show you my hand. I'm like, I can bounce all your shit. I can recall another thing. I have Brain Geyser. I still have an untapped thing. I can draw 6 cards with Brain Geyser and then recall Brain Geyser and Twiddle. So like at this point, we didn't have to go through the motions like we did in game 1.
Yeah.
A, because I had a much clearer like path to victory, and B, because well, we already saw it game one, so we don't need to. That's what I mean though. Like, let game one occur, let them do their thing. Also, from the standpoint of like information too, like you should let your combo player, especially in a tournament, let them play everything. You see their entire deck. It'll help your sideboarding immensely. There's no reason to concede and cut yourself off of the information. Like turn your loss into some kind of victory by gaining.
Or sometimes where if I see right away, like turn one, the opponent's playing something, they have like time lock, they're taking 2-3 turns, and I still haven't played anything, and I know it's not gonna be good.
Yeah, you don't have to play
I'll just concede right away, so they have zero information.
Yeah.
And I could sideboard accordingly.
That's true. That's the opposite of like letting them play everything out.
Yeah.
But interesting.
So I hope everyone enjoyed that. I didn't, but you know, it is what it is.
There's always information being gained, I think. So.
Yeah, so as long as you learned something from this, and I hope you enjoyed Mark's little insight on his mindset when playing the Twiddle Vault Stasis, and you could tweak it to your liking. Just have fun with it.
Except I wouldn't really tweak Danny Friedman's stock deck though. That one's pretty tuned. So let's not change that one. But Stasis has room for a card or 2 or 3. So But anyways, that's that.
All right.
So see you next time.
Yeah.